Tonight, in a city that once measured itself by the sound of pistons on an assembly line and banners hanging from the rafters at the old palace, another kind of pressure test arrives, not manufactured in steel, but in heartbeat, swagger, anxiety, memes, legacy, in 24 seconds at a time. Game 7. Those two words still hit different, because no matter how much the sport changes, no matter how many clips get chopped into TikToks, how many hot takes get fired into the algorithm before halftime, or how many fans declare someone washed after one bad quarter, Game 7 remains basketball's ultimate lie detector. And tonight in Detroit, somebody's season is getting archived forever. The young, hungry, top-seeded Detroit Pistons, a franchise reborn behind the fearless brilliance of Cade Cunningham, the force of Jalen Duren in the paint, and a team that plays like every possession owes them money. They've dragged this city back into the center of the basketball conversation, not as a nostalgia act, not as a cute story, but as a genuine power. And across from them, the veteran-laced Cleveland Cavaliers, carrying both expectation and scar tissue. Donovan Mitchell searching for the defining postseason run critics keep insisting must come. James Harden trying to rewrite a playoff narrative that follows him around like a shadow on social media. Every step tonight will feel heavy. Every miss will feel louder. Every timeout will feel like the internet holding its breath. And that's the beauty of this stage. Because in a Game 7, nobody cares what your record was in January. Nobody cares about your podcast appearances, your sneaker drops, your follower count, or what your apology tweet looked like 3 years ago. The vibe check becomes very real very fast. Either you rise into the moment, or the moment screenshots you forever. Detroit enters tonight favored. The building will shake, the crowd will sound less like an arena and more like controlled chaos. Somewhere between old school bad boys hostility and modern playoff hysteria. The kind of atmosphere where one three-pointer can feel like a citywide power surge. And yet Cleveland knows this. Pressure cuts both ways. For the Pistons, this is about a rival. For the Cavaliers, this is about survival. One team trying to prove they belong at the top of the East. The other trying desperately to avoid becoming an off-season debate show topic by midnight. That's what makes nights like this timeless. Because beneath the noise, beneath the edits, the discourse, the gambling, and the endless notifications, basketball still gives us this rare simplicity. A final game, a hostile floor, and nowhere to hide. Game 7, Cavaliers Pistons. The season comes down to this. Greetings from our Temecula studios. We welcome you to the Hardwood Report. I'm Ryder Bullock on this Game 7. Cleveland and Detroit, a trip to the Eastern Conference Finals on the line. The Cavaliers 52 wins, the 4th seed in the East. The Pistons 60 wins, the top seed. Back home in Detroit with a chance to finish the job in front of a crowd that has waited a long time for a night like this. The series is tied at 3 games apiece, and the last time we saw these two teams, Detroit sent a message. A 115-94 win on Friday night, controlled by defense, physicality, and Cade Cunningham's steady hand. Cunningham had 21 in that one, and over his last 10 games, he's been playing like the franchise player Detroit believed he could be, averaging nearly 29 points a night. For Cleveland, James Harden led the way with 23 in Game 6, but tonight the Cavaliers will need more. Donovan Mitchell enters averaging 27.9 points per game, and in a Game 7, your stars cannot just be present, they have to be defining. The matchup inside may tell the story. Detroit leads the Eastern Conference in points in the paint at nearly 58 per game, and Jalen Duren has been a force, averaging 19 and 10. Cleveland has to keep him off the glass, keep Detroit out of transition, and avoid letting this become a Pistons-style game. But the Cavaliers have their own formula. They average 119.5 points per game and nearly 10 more than Detroit allows. They move the ball well, ranking 5th in the East in assists, and Harden's playmaking gives them a veteran stabilizer in the half court. The Pistons are favored by 4.5. The total sits at 206.5. And that tells you the expectation. Physical tight. Every possession magnified. Injury-wise, Detroit is watching Chris Levert, Kevin Herter, and Duncan Robinson all listed day-to-day. Cleveland has Larry Nance Jr. listed day-to-day with an illness. So here we are, one night, one game. Detroit trying to validate a 60-win season and protect home court. Cleveland trying to steal the moment, quiet the building, and extend its postseason run. More on that game in a moment, but first, here's what's trending in the NBA, and we begin in Oklahoma City, where Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has done it again. According to ESPN's Sean Sharana, SGA has won back-to-back NBA MVP awards, joining one of the most elusive clubs in basketball history. The official announcement is set today for on Amazon Prime. Gilgeous-Alexander now stands alongside names like LeBron James, Stephon Curry, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Nikola Jokic as active players who have repeated as MVP. And when you look at the bigger picture, every retired player who has won consecutive MVPs is a Hall of Famer. That tells you the kind of company SGA is keeping now. And this was not just a popularity vote. He averaged 31.1 points per game, shot a career-best 55.3% from the floor, and led a 64-win Thunder team that finished with the NBA's best record for the second straight season. He was also the league's clutch player of the year, leading the NBA in clutch points. So now the timing is perfect because Oklahoma City opens the Western Conference Finals tomorrow night against Victor Wembanyama and the San Antonio Spurs. MVP versus the future of the league, Thunder Spurs, Game 1. That is must-see TV. Meanwhile, in New York, the Knicks may be getting a major boost. OG Anunoby practiced in full and said his current hamstring injury does not feel as bad as the one he suffered in the 2024 playoffs. That is huge for a Knicks team already waiting on the winner of Cleveland and Detroit in the Eastern Conference Finals. Anunoby has been one of New York's most important players this postseason, averaging 21.4 points per game, shooting nearly 62% from the field and over 53% from three. But more than the scoring, he is their top defensive piece, the guy who changes matchups, covers mistakes, and gives the Knicks their playoff identity. Well, tonight is Game 7, 160, so the lights burn a little brighter. The crowd will sound a little louder. Every possession will feel heavier because there is nothing in basketball quite like a Game 7. One game, 48 minutes, win or go home. From the moment Michael Jordan pushed through Utah in 1998 to LeBron James chasing down Andre Iguodala in the closing moments of the 2016 finals, to Kawhi Leonard and the shot that bounced 4 times before dropping in for Toronto. Game 7s don't just decide series, they create basketball immortality. You think about Madison Square Garden shaking during Knicks playoff classics, Boston Garden roaring through generations of Celtic battles, Detroit's bad boys, Kobe and the Lakers surviving the Celtics in 2010. These are the nights where legacies change forever. And the beauty of a Game 7 is simple. None of the numbers matter anymore. Not the regular season record, not the seeding, not the predictions, not even what happened in Game 1 through 6. All that matters now is who can handle the pressure when the season is hanging by a thread. Some players tighten up, some disappear, and some become legends. Tonight, another chapter gets written. Another unforgettable moment waits somewhere in the next few hours. Maybe it's a buzzer beater. Maybe it's a superstar dropping 45. Maybe it's an unlikely hero coming off the bench and changing everything. That's why we love Game 7 basketball, because for one night, the entire basketball world stops and history waits for somebody brave enough to take it. And with that, let's count down the best Game 7 moments in NBA history. And we begin with this iconic picture in Toronto. How about Kawhi Leonard and the Toronto Raptors? Who can forget this great moment from 2019? Is this the dagger? 4 bounces, one of the most dramatic shots in NBA history. Kawhi Leonard sends Toronto to the Eastern Conference Finals with a moment frozen in basketball history. Look at that shot from that angle. Wow. And then he made it. Okay, let's fast forward a few years back. 2016 NBA Finals. We all remember Golden State and the Cleveland Cavaliers. How about LeBron James? The ageless wonder. He was a little younger then, of course. Tied game, under 2 minutes left. Then came one of the greatest defensive plays ever. LeBron James chased down Andre Iguodala and delivered the block, helping Cleveland complete a historic 3-1 comeback against Golden State. And you see Steph Curry, he couldn't believe it. LeBron James and his title, Cleveland's only title, trying to get back. Our next one is from 2010. And it is no doubt, this may be my first NBA Finals, the one that I really remember sitting back and watching. 2010 Lakers, Celtics, Kobe Bryant. Fought through a difficult shooting night, but the Lakers survived Boston in one of the toughest Game 7 ever played. Getting it done, bruising, physical, emotional, a classic Lakers-Celtics war. Up next is number 2, the 1998 Eastern Conference Finals. I'm talking Michael Jordan. And he did something that not too many teams did, and that is survive Indiana. The Pacers pushed the dynasty to the brink, but legends finished the job. Michael Jordan delivering another iconic Game 7 performance to keep Chicago's championship run alive. And lastly, the number 1, Game 7, 2016, Cleveland. And the Warriors, as Cleveland does the impossible. On the road, down 3-1 against a 73-win team, and somehow Cleveland won the championship. From Kyrie Irving's clutch 3 to LeBron's emotional celebration afterward, Game 7 of the 2016 NBA Finals remains the gold standard for basketball drama. So, what will we see tonight? Well, here are tonight's keys to the game. Everybody says they're ready. Everybody says pressure doesn't matter, and then the ball goes up. The building gets tight, and suddenly every possession feels like it weighs 50 pounds. That's where we are tonight in Detroit. The Cleveland Cavaliers and the Detroit Pistons tied 3-3. One game for the right to go to the Eastern Conference Finals to play the New York Knicks. One game to validate everything you did from October to now. One game to avoid a summer full of questions. And make no mistake, there are a lot more questions hanging over Cleveland than there are Detroit. For Detroit, this is a gravy to a degree. This is a young team ahead of schedule. Cade Cunningham looks like a bona fide superstar now. Jalen Duren has become a force inside. Asher Thompson's defense has changed this series. The Pistons are physical, athletic, young, hungry, and frankly, they look like the fresher team in the last 2 games. But Cleveland, different story. This team pushed every chip to the middle of the table when they traded for James Harden. They're paying luxury tax money that looks like a defense budget. That's how well they're playing with James Harden. Donovan Mitchell is approaching another contract crossroads. Harden's future is tied to this organization now. 3 straight second-round exits. That's not what this was built for. So tonight is enormous for the Cavaliers. Now let's talk basketball. The Pistons have completely changed the tone of this series with their defense. Early in this matchup, Mitchell was getting downhill whenever he wanted. He had this huge 39-point half. Cleveland's spacing looked dangerous, but the last 2 games, Detroit has crowded him, trapped him, bumped him. and force somebody else to beat them. Asher Thompson deserves a ton of credit, Cunningham too. They worn Mitchell down physically, and when Mitchell gets frustrated, Cleveland's offense starts turning into isolation basketball real fast. That cannot happen tonight because the Cavaliers are not built to win ugly. Their strength is pace, ball movement, Harden orchestrating, Mitchell attacking shooters, spreading the floor. When they're sharing the ball, they can score with anybody. When they stop moving, they become very ordinary very quickly. And here's another thing. Detroit has dominated the paint. The Pistons led in the East in points in the paint this year at nearly 58 per game. And in this series, Jalen Duren has looked like the strongest interior player on the floor. Cleveland has had trouble containing penetration, trouble rebounding consistently, and trouble matching Detroit's physicality around the basket. That's why tonight starts with Evan Mobley and Jared Allen. Those guys have to control the interior. If they don't, Detroit's crowd gets into it early, Cunningham gets comfortable, and suddenly the Cavaliers are playing uphill in one of the loudest environments we've seen this postseason. Now, on the Detroit side, this is also fascinating because young teams usually have to lose before they win. We've seen it forever in this league. The Thunder went through it. The Celtics went through it. The Jordan Bulls went through it. Sometimes Game 7 pressure hits young players hard. But Cunningham has answered every question so far in these playoffs. That 45-point elimination game on the road, that changes how people look at you. That's superstar stuff. And Detroit's role players have been excellent at home. Their defense feeds off this crowd. They run harder. They rebound harder. They get to loose balls quicker. That matters in a Game 7 because these games are rarely pretty. And don't overthink the total tonight either. The number is 206.5 for a reason. Historically, Game 7s tighten up. Coaches shorten rotations. Possessions slow down. Every turnover feels catastrophic. Every missed free throw gets magnified. You can absolutely see both teams struggling offensively early. Now, the key matchup tonight is Mitchell versus Detroit's perimeter defense. If Mitchell looks explosive early, Cleveland has a real chance because it opens everything else for a Harden as a playmaker. But if Detroit walls him off again and forces Harden into a tough late clock shot, advantage Pistons. Second is rebounding. Detroit cannot allow Cleveland you can't give Cleveland second chances. Cleveland cannot allow Detroit to live in the paint. Whichever team wins the glass probably wins the game. And finally, Harden. Because this is what Cleveland traded him for. Not regular season numbers, not January wins. This moment right here. Can he settle the offense? Can he control the tempo? Can he make winning plays late? That's the whole evaluation tonight. Okay, so who is more composed? I think that's Detroit. Because Game 7s become emotional storms. One bad stretch can snowball fast. Detroit's crowd is going to be insane from the opening tip. Cleveland has to survive those first 6 minutes. So for that reason, I like the Pistons. Not because Cleveland lacks talent. They absolutely have enough talent to win this game. But Detroit right now looks like the more connected team, the more physical team, and honestly, the more confident team. The Pistons have taken control of the emotional tone of this series. They've dictated the style. They're at home. They've got the younger legs. And Cunningham has looked like the best overall player on the floor in the last 2 games. I think it's close. I think it's tense. I think it's ugly offensively for stretches. But in the fourth quarter, I trust Detroit's defense and energy a little more right now. Pistons 102, Cavaliers 96. And if that happens, the entire NBA offseason changes tonight. The game is on Amazon Prime Video. We will see you for the Hardwood Report at the half.